Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Works. Of course it does. No, that's all solved. We solved that last month. We're good. And the irony of the whole thing is we're now back on the original Zoom link that we were using forever before. So, like, I don't really know. I'm kind of confused as to what the real issue was. But anyway, I just want to quickly show our new. Okay, she's gonna come back for 7, so I don't need to share the link with her. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So hi everybody. Welcome to our policy meeting. This is like the dog days of the school year. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up our agenda. There's so many emails related to these stupid meetings. Every time I change something on the town website, I get another email about it. All right, so today we have to call the meeting to order. So the meeting is now called to order. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from April 17th, 2025.
I motion to approve.
I'll second it. Let's all in favor. Mayu, aye.
Lonco, aye.
Awesome. Approved the minutes. All right. So the policies we have for review tonight are the school committee powers and duties. Mm-hmm. School committee member resignation, like anybody would ever do that. School committee organizational meeting, which actually is an interesting. This is what I was just talking to Shannon about. I had never read this policy before. I actually didn't even realize that it was on our list for tonight, which tells you how carefully I read it. But I did actually really read it because we've never actually, I don't think, as far as I know, in my long 2 years here, we've never actually kind of followed this exactly. And it was one of those things that I kind of wish I had realized had existed. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was interesting about the part where they said that it's up to us to kind of inform and be informed.
Yep.
And I feel like that's kind of a relevant topic to discuss.
And I think last year we had some struggle. I mean, of course, Shannon was coming on and Ann was coming on, but we had some. We were curious because of the way the election happened and our chair was leaving. Then, the most senior member of the committee is supposed to run the reorganization meeting, which we didn't know. I think, Shannon, you might have even started it for us that day.
Well, yes. And I did the same thing in Leverett because their chair was not, so they had agreed. So I think that's pretty common. I've actually seen it done in other schools also.
Yeah.
Just for the reorganization. But yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I'm seeing addressed here too that I think is good is if we look at our initial policy right now, superintendent acting as temporary chair. So this is interesting. This is one of those ones where I'm a little, I know we're kind of scaling back and going with the Mass Association of School Committee. But I will say that this is the one I was reading earlier this week. And I kind of like the SES policy a little bit more just because it's really specific about the roles that people play. So the one thing that I don't love about the Shutesbury one right now is that, if I remember right, so for the sole purpose of organizing, the school committee will hold a regular meeting 9 days following the town's annual election. That feels to me ridiculous. I don't really understand. I was feeling a little stupid because I was like, I've never seen this before. It makes the most sense to just do it at the next meeting after the election. I think the way we do that makes sense. But I'm curious what other people think in terms of the election process will occur as follows. I really kind of like, and this felt sort of helpful to me, to see the way that the committee is made up and who has to be on what committee, which the Mass Association of School Committees version doesn't have.
No. Right. And it's funny that you say that because when I looked at, this is policy BDA, I just want to make sure we're all on the same thing, so we're a little out of order. But I actually liked the Shutesbury. I'm like, this makes it very clear, like one rep has to be on this committee, one rep. I was actually going to say, I'm okay. And I think if you look at the MASC policy, they have that long note that says like, it really long and short says like, if there are individual things for your communities, you are free to, insert them. I sort of liked the current policy, though I agree. The
That first paragraph
policy,
should be struck, I think.
that first paragraph could go, and I think you could say at the next meeting.
Yep. I mean, I think I would prefer to keep this, because I think that one of the other things that Nate and I have talked about a couple times now is that there's no, especially when you lack institutional knowledge, having something that's clear that lays out how it is done is really helpful. Because otherwise I think we just kind of wing it like we have in my last two occasions through this.
Well, I think that might be what the 9-day after the election could be. It could be that kind of introduction. You're kind of like, everybody's now meeting before the actual first school committee meeting. And so that first school committee meeting isn't wasted, is going into policy and talking about what is the superintendent's agenda, what's our agenda. Instead, it's like, who's on what
That's an interesting point too. Yeah.
So I kind of think we leave that whole thing. I actually liked the SES policy. I thought it was good. Like you were saying, it makes it clear that this is a different type of school union district.
I actually like that point, Nate, because I do think, and it really falls like when your election is, and but to have a meeting that is solely for, we're going to restructure our committee, and it's a chance to sort of catch everybody up about, and even things like, we don't meet in the summer, like
right.
I think
all the stuff we didn't do.
And instead it can be a pretty timely meeting, but all those silly questions that you're not really sure what to ask.
I agree.
Well, I do feel like that's sorry, go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Yeah, I think that's actually, I mean, we have not done that before, but I think that coming in as a new committee member like 2 years ago and jumping right into the reorganization and then right into the business is kind of overwhelming when you don't even really know what your role is completely or how anything works. And so like being able to say, having the time to kind of unpack, like, this is what this, if you sign on for CES, you can expect a good dinner, or you can do it remotely, and this is what it is. And there's not, this is the responsibility, all that sort of stuff on the front end, so that you're not kind of figuring it out over the first, 2 or 3 meetings.
And even if there's like 2, that means that there's 2 meetings in May. That's what it means. I kind of think that I've for me personally, I've jumped that hurdle of like school committee,
especially if you have a lot, right? Like if you have a lot of members, like we just had Leverett, and Leverett has 3 new members. And so that meeting was the longest it's ever been, because it took like 45 minutes to talk about, well, what does this person do? What's my commitment? What committee do you want to be on when you have a lot of members? So that's not a bad thing to keep. But I do like the SES policy.
I think they're great to discuss. I mean, they're great to review with the rest of the committee,
So I guess then what we're thinking is we're going to along the lines of that too. I do want to say I'm hopeful that tonight's meeting, especially if Katrina is open to taking the positions that Jen has vacated, which were not intense. If that's a possibility, then hopefully we can kind of move on as we have, unless anybody else wants to be chair. But that we could kind of just.
Well, I was thinking if Leah wanted to be on the policy committee, and maybe Leah and I could like swap some responsibilities, because I feel like she is a
she wants to do
cross your T kind of person that I'm not. That's what this role needs.
I'm stuck here. If I'm the chair, I have to be here. So
So I'd propose that and talk to Leah if she wants to swap something with me.
Okay. Yeah, I think Leah wants to be more involved anyway. So but anyway, my point just being, hopefully it won't add too much time to our stuff. All right. So those were just for review. We don't have to vote on those. But we are going to stick with the SES on the school committee organizational one. Okay. So policies to be added: school committee operational goals, evaluation of school committee operational procedures, school committee legal status, school committee member authority, school committee member qualifications and oath of office, and school committee member ethics. Does anyone have any comments or thoughts on any of those that they want to bring up?
Not right now.
Okay.
No. So these are really just policies. You don't have to add them all. They're just policies that SES does not have the MASC.
Suggest that we have, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's all from what again, I'm not always the dotted I and T in this committee either, this subcommittee, but like from what I saw when I went through them, it all seems pretty boilerplate and basic. Like you've got to be a voter in the town and whatever. I mean, I guess the only thing that I didn't do that I maybe should have done before we did this was just check into if there's any additional regional pieces that need to be added in, but I can't imagine that it's anything different than what's here. So, all right. So, Nate, do you want to batch them? Do you want to do them individually?
Yeah, I can do it. I propose that we add BA, BAA, BB, BBAA, BA, BBB.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Our
this feels like a weird Sesame Street episode. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm glad that you did it to the power. That's awesome. Fifth grade would be so proud of you.
Yeah, right.
They'd be psyched.
All right. So moved. Second. All in favor? My UI.
I'll go by.
Okay. So
Can I just
next
clarify, you're going to move those to go to the
for discussion. Yep, right. For review or whatever.
Okay.
First read. Yeah, great. So our next policy meeting and the last of this session will be June 12th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Go have some vittles and I'll meet you back at the other link at 7.
Thanks so much.
I'm not feeling too hot. Is it possible for me to be moved up a little bit on the agenda? I don't feel too great. Is it okay for me to go a little bit?
Yeah, we can. We'll make sure we move you. We'll move you up to right after reorganization, even if that's easier for you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you in a few minutes.
We'll
okay.
Bye.
Bye.